Stars. We are back with another Real Life Lawyer Reacts. In this situation, we are looking at kind of what conspired the past 2 days, man. YSL Woody back on the stand. Good morning, Larry. Once again, we're about to do it again, man. Go ahead and introduce yourself for those who might not know.
I'm attorney Larry Taylor, managing partner for the Cochran firm and host of Tailor-Made Conversations on YouTube.
All right, there you go, man. First and foremost, have you got a chance to look at any of the YSL Woody's, his new testimony as they're bringing him back in as the case is kind of ramping up, I guess you could say?
Yeah, I think I've seen way too much video at this point.
All right. Well, let's get to it. We're not going to play a lot. I want to play like 1 minute of so people can kind of know what we're talking about. I'm going to play like 1 minute, and then I'm going to come right back, and we're going to have a conversation in regards. But let me go ahead and get ready to play this real quick.
So it may seem like I'm trying to help Doug out. I'm not trying to help him out. I don't care nothing about him, what he got going on, nothing. I care about the truth. The truth was I was going through a phase in my life, and I have put all the blame on him. I don't know what he did. I don't know what he got going on. But y'all got me on the stand, and I'm telling the God and it's truth. Leave me out of this. I made all these stories up, put the blame on him to get myself out of the situation because the police told me they want a big fish, and I'm a little fish. They ain't who I want. So when they told me that, my only motive was to convince them that I'm telling the truth about this guy right here, and I'm lying.
All right. Let's and I'm lying. Let's go get right to it. And I'm lying. All right. For what you've seen, I want to talk about this in a couple of different factors. I want to talk about it from YSL Woody's standpoint, the attorney standpoint, or the prosecutor standpoint, and then the judge and overall case. So let's touch on YSL Woody. What are your thoughts? I know you spoke. You came on our platform. You did a great interview. Y'all go watch that. Larry Taylor, the Real Life Lawyer. Great interview. You touched on that briefly, and you gave him a standing ovation per se for his performance. What are your thoughts on him coming back in? And again, there's some other video we didn't play, and we'll talk about it. But he's basically singing. He's like, "Hey, do I have immunity?" Judge says yes. All right, man. Me and Thread shot up Rich Homie Quan spot. He started 6'9" in the situation. What are your thoughts on Woody at this moment?
Like most sequels, then they don't live up to the hype of the first movie, man. And unfortunately, Woody, honestly, I think my man was set up. By removing his first attorney. So during cases like this, your attorney is your guardrails. They keep you within the confines of so that you don't hurt yourself or harm yourself. This time, his attorney was booted or suspended, and the judge asked him, did he want to find an attorney, or did he want her to appoint an attorney? She appointed him an attorney, and he just ended up saying way too much, because I understand that he had a plea agreement, but your plea agreement is based on several factors. Number one, that you're not sitting up here undermining their case, and which he did. He sat up there and said, I lied. And then he got to the point where he started admitting to crimes that he did commit. And that's not going to protect him from potentially being arrested and charged with those crimes that he committed.
I don't think he understands that.
No. And his attorney, I know you had it in phases, but I'm pissed because his attorney is sitting there reading. I don't know if he's reading a transcript or what he's doing, but he's not making the proper objections. He should have called for a recess so that he can talk to his client, to admonish his client about his plea deal and what he needed to actually talk about versus going all off page. Woody got frustrated, and they this time the prosecution did what I said I would have done last time. Basically get him to either not admit or admit to facts that he basically can't run from. So they went back and asked him his age. And this time they asked him his date of birth. And they just went back and asked him all these systematic questions, basically setting him up to either be the shooter in this murder or an accomplice in this murder, or basically to set him up and get him frustrated so he'll do what he did, which is admit to other crimes.
So how does it work when he spoke to the police, years ago, of course, about this case, and they got him to become a star witness, I guess you could say. I don't recall. So he goes through maybe an hour of testimony, just basically saying, I don't recall. The attorney's reading off, things he said during his statement with the police. And it seems like he's not even listening to what the lady's saying. He's just saying, I don't recall. I don't recall. And she's asking, is it true that? Is it true that? Is it true that? And basically repeating what he stated was in writing. And he's just saying, I don't recall. Like, where I'm like, no one's stopping it. No one's objecting. The judge is just allowing it. And she's reading line for line to where it's just an I don't recall show. What is that about? Like, how does that work?
And I'm betting good money. His first attorney, who ended up getting suspended, told him basically, hey, look, don't contradict your previous statements, right? Don't come up there and say that you lied on those statements. Just basically, if you don't remember what you told, honestly, if you don't remember what you told the police, because it happened some time ago, just say you don't recall. And that was his safe bet. That was his way of getting through and keeping his immunity. And I haven't read the documents, and I don't know what's all in his plea agreement or his testimony, his agreement to testify. Right. But those statements that he made outside of I don't recall are potentially going to undermine his deal with law enforcement.
Correct. There's a moment, I don't know if you saw, where the judge actually stops the case. And this is the first day when he's in a gray suit, where she's like, remember, you have, said you will come on this stand and, assist this case. And if you don't, we can hold you in contempt. And, you might be looking at some more jail time. And he takes a moment and pauses. And then he says, she asked him, are you going to, help? Are you gonna testify? He says yes. So as it goes on and it goes further, the prosecution is asking him the questions in regards, and of course he's playing the I don't recall role. Can they do that? Let's say for 5-7 hours of testimony where he just keeps repeating that. Would no one stop that, or would they just allow this thing to just go for hours?
Well, see, that plays in the Woody's favor, right? Because at that point, what he's basically doing is saying, hey, look, I'm telling you the truth. I'm not undermining, and I'm still kind of helping. I just don't remember if this is what I said. I don't remember if this is the testimony. And the great thing about that is the judge said it herself inside and during the case, that the prosecutor's statements are not evidence. So she can say whatever she wants to say. Unless he collaborates it, it basically is non-existent.
Non-existent. When Woody says, he looks over at the judge and says, hey, am I immune from all this? I can say whatever. I can say whatever. And he throws Rich Homie Quan in there, which they then start bringing up Rich Homie Quan. Like, you just threw it in there. Does that play in? Well, I know it doesn't play in his favor, but is it helping Thug out? Let me say that. Is it helping young Thug out?
It's helping no one out.
Wow.
It is helping no one out. Because what he's done is, if I'm sitting on a jury, anyone who's sitting on the jury now understands that both him and several of these other entertainers have the propensity for violence and gunplay. And so if you didn't necessarily participate in this murder, then you either had you potentially had some kind of connection to it, and potentially either caused this murder or retaliated against someone, and you're part of this whole ongoing feud. And so that's very dangerous, because then you lose that sympathy that people have for him during the first testimony. during that first testimony, he was funny, he was quirky, you know, he was basically a television character. Now he's put himself in the light of a violent individual. I mean, several times he said, "I don't run nowhere." You know, am I dead? Basically queuing up the fact that, look, I'm a killer, and, you know, and I know how to protect myself, and I carry a gun. I mean, it was one part in there where he said that she said, "Well, you were running outside." And then he said, "I was running to get what?" Now, we all know if you got jumped, that someone running outside to their car, what they might end up doing. But he didn't have to say that. And his attorney should have objected and asked for that to be struck because it was non-responsive. He did not answer the question. Anything that he says that's non-responsive, his attorney should be jumping up and objecting as non-responsive on his behalf.
So we should see a lot. We should have seen a lot more objections just throughout. You know, oh man. Let me ask you this: when Woody says, "Hey, I said anything I need to say to get myself out of jail. Basically, everything I've said, I made it up to help myself." Once the moment he says that, what does that say as far as, you know, when he's saying that on, you know, he's under oath right now. He's saying basically, I lied on Thug to get myself out of jail. I'm saying this under oath. Like, what does that say? How did the prosecutor, the defense take that?
So if you're the defense, as one of the other attorneys, you're like, okay, now he's creating reasonable doubt. You know, is the jury going to all of a sudden turn their eyes from my client to him and saying, okay, what do you mean you did it for yourself? What do you mean you did it to keep yourself out of trouble? What do you mean that, you know, you don't run? What do you mean that you ain't dead? What do you mean by, you know,
we now have a
and so those things are problematic.
For now, is what it is. So let's get Mr. Kirkland back on the stand and get the jury out.
Let me make sure let me stop that. Sorry, go ahead. Apologize.
No, don't apologize. I mean, it's...
Yeah, that was the judge, by the way. That's the judge in the background. That wasn't anybody in your background.
No, I know. Look, I don't watch enough videos.
But yeah, no, so you were saying it creates reasonable doubt in regards to a jury listening in on where they're like, okay, wait a minute. He lied about this, so even having him up here is questionable.
Right. So you heard, you listened to it. And so if I'm one of the other defense attorneys, I'm saying, I'm coming up and telling the jury, okay, look, the state's star witness is a liar. He lied to them. He said he lied to keep himself out of trouble. He's already admitted that he's done drive-bys in which someone could have been killed. He's already admitted that he doesn't run. He already admits and gave you the inkling that he retaliates against those who act against him, because it was the part where he got jumped and he said, they'll get theirs.
Yeah.
See, all of that goes into the jury's mind. And if I'm one of the other defense attorneys, I'm like, Woody's wild. Wild Woody. What did they call him? What did they call him? Bloody Roy or something like that?
Yeah, I didn't even catch the name.
Yeah, I guess it was his blood name.
Right.
And then he admitted to being in a gang.
He admitted to being in a gang. But he said YSL isn't a gang because they were trying to portray like a whole giant gang, and he's like, that's not how gangs work. But he's basically admitting that it's some type of gang, but just not breaking down what kind of gang it is.
Look, that one part where he broke down the gang and said, hey, look, if there's Crips and Bloods in the same quote unquote gang in YSL, and all of a sudden the Crips and the Bloods start fighting, what happens to that group in YSL? He said that don't make sense. That was fine. If he went to, he shouldn't have said that, but that was fine. But to admit that you were in a gang and admit some of the things that he admitted, man, he just did himself a great disservice by doing that.
His lawyer was suspended. He asked for a new lawyer. The judge said she actually has a court-appointed lawyer for him right now. He asked the judge, "Is he gonna do me right?" And she's like, "I mean, he's gonna do his job." So they took a recess for the day. Do you think they're gonna bring him back on the stand this morning? Do you think he's coming back on based on the last 2 days of testimony?
I didn't see how the testimony ended.
It ended right there. It's like, hey, he started complaining about not having his attorney present. The judge said, "We have one for you." He said, "I'll let you meet with him." So they let him, they excused him, and they went ahead and went in recess for the day. So it ended right there. So I'm just curious if he goes to speak with this new court-appointed attorney that the court picked. Do you think this, or will the prosecution bring him back on based on what he's been doing? Is he credible to the prosecution's case based on just kind of what you've seen?
I mean, yes. Okay. I think he went from harming their evidence, because I text you as soon as you sent me the clip. That first 5 minutes, I told you I've only seen no more than 15 minutes of it. And I said, look, they're trying to set him up for murder. They're trying to set him up because their demeanor. He had them shook the first time. The second time they came back, and their line of questioning and how they stood on that steady path. I'm like, oh, they trying to set him up. They're trying to set my guy Woody up. And let me make one correction for you. If that's where they stopped it, they paused it at when she asked him, "Did you commit the murder?" And I knew that was coming. When I text you with the first clip, I didn't even see that one. I knew that question was coming.
Yes. Yeah.
So they had basically set him up to get him, the hopes that he would get frustrated and talk too much, which he did, to turn around and ask him that question.
So do attorneys do that? I mean, will they say, "Hey, we got ourselves a new case here"? He's basically talking about some stuff that is outside of, Young Thug, as far as, him sitting there, because, all the YSL members are trying their cases differently. They're like, "Hey, we might have ourselves a new situation here with Woody."
Right. Very much so. Very much so.
Go ahead.
Because the thing is, you think about it. Think about it. If you're in law enforcement, my star witness, who I don't want as a witness, I'd rather have in jail, is acting a fool. He's undermining my case. And so they're like, you know what? Since you're not going to help us send him to jail, then we're going to set you up and get you to go to jail for it. And that's exactly what they're doing right now.
So I want to ask about the prosecution, their demeanor. Like you said, the first case, the first time they were a little flustered with Woody. This time they're pretty straight on. It's kind of dragging out a little bit, but they're not letting him do the performance he did at first. Do you feel that's by design, that they're just, of course, reading the affidavit, giving the "I don't recall," just kind of still going through it, still just letting him, because he will stop and answer some questions once if it sounds wrong, he'll listen and say, "Wait a minute, that's not how it happened." Do you think they're strategically playing their role when it comes to the female attorney that's questioning him at this point?
Most definitely. Most definitely. I told you, look, man, when I saw the first 15 minutes, they came in there with a mission. They came in there on a mission. And that mission was basically, you know what, Woody? Last time you frustrated us. This time we're going to frustrate you. I'm going to ask you 100 questions. What's that old cliche? Death by 1,000 cuts?
Yeah.
They said, Woody, we're going to nick you. We're going to keep nicking you. And eventually you're going to scream and you're going to holler and you're going to say something that's going to help us pop you. And he just went too far. He went too far because, the proper response would have been objection, asked and answered. We answered these questions last time, Judge. Why are we breaking this down again? And so I would have objected to questions that he had previously been asked, so that we cut down on that to hopefully get them to shorten their questioning. But that didn't happen. that didn't happen. I mean, I don't even know. I think it was only one objection I heard.
Only one. I only heard one. Maybe two.
Yeah, in hours of testimony.
Can I ask you, as far as the judge, at the end of the day, she does, she excuses Woody, and then she says this trial, based on your guys' pacing and the amount of evidence that's still to come, this thing could take months based on the pacing. Do you think the attorney will? The prosecutor will change their strategy based on, because I actually understand exactly what you're saying when it comes to, like, let's switch this up. But the judge is frustrated now. She's new. What are your thoughts?
I think the prosecutors are going to run their race until they can't run it anymore. The judge herself could have, that's why the objections of Woody's attorney was so important, because the judge is ready to shorten their length of their questioning, but they're not giving her the rope to do it, right? So if I'm saying objection asked and answered, objection asked and answered, her response is going to be, judge is going to be, sustained, counsel, wrap this up, right? Stop asking the same questions that you asked previously. So, get to where you're going. And that would have helped shorten it up, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, with no objections, this thing is just like, man, it's like, geez Louise, it's horrible. So with that being said, I don't want to take too much of your time again. I wanted to touch on this. He's actually going to get back probably on the stand this morning. Maybe, we'll see. So there's probably going to be more to talk about. So instead of asking you questions about what he thinks is going to come, let's just play it by ear. I just want to, this is the last 2 days of testimony. I want to play it by ear on what he does next. I would love to bring you on and see if he changes his performance, if his new lawyer changes, maybe they object more, and kind of see where it goes. And I want to get your take on the new strategy of either both the defense or the prosecution to see which way they go. So with that being said, I don't want to take too much of your time. It looked like you're off somewhere. So definitely safe travels, and we'll definitely go from there. But if you don't mind, go ahead and tell them how to follow you, how to find you. If they have any questions, anybody want to get any information from you, tell them how to follow you.
Well, they can always come here to the RealLyfe Street Stars, because I am now deemed the RealLyfe lawyer. And so we want them to subscribe and support this particular channel. They can also find us at Tailor Made Law. If you have a legal question and you need answers, there's a section on the website you can go and fill out, and we'll be glad to assist you to let you know if you have a case. And then thirdly, you can follow me on @LarryTaylor II on Instagram.
All right, there you go, man. The RealLyfe lawyer, attorney Larry Taylor. I appreciate you, man. And we're going to start a new hashtag. It's going to be called I Don't Recall. We're going to start that. We're going to use that for probably the next couple of days and go from there. But I definitely appreciate you for stopping in and giving us the game, man.
Hey, man, no problem. And like I said, man, you call me no matter if I'm traveling. As soon as I touch down or as soon as I get to my hotel room, I'll make sure that I give you a call back. And I want to apologize to everybody that I'm not suited and booted, but I'm on my way to San Diego to go speak at a conference.
There you go, man. Well, Godspeed on that, man. We appreciate you, man, and we'll tap in with you sooner than later, man. I appreciate you. All right, salute.
Shout out RealLyfe Street Stars, nigga. Move. Hey.